welcome to another episode of Better Catholics. Today we are privileged and honored to have a very special guest, our mentor, one of the many mentors of the RCIA program here in the Diocese of Canoa. We have Father Jason Granado. And of course, we have, as always, we have Bishop Ryan with us. And that today we are going to talk about the RCIA program. What is RCIA? What is the goal of RCIA? Who are participants? Who are the participants during the RCIA program? And many other things that we can talk about. Hopefully, we'll be able to help out people who are discerning to become Catholics or to pursue complete their sacrament of initiation in the Catholic Church, and many other things that we can talk about. So, without further ado, Father Jason, would you like to say something about yourself, about your ministry here in the in the diocese?
Thank you, Father Melvin. Bishop Ryan, thank you for having me here. Well, I'm no stranger to our diocese. I have been here for more than 8 years. And currently, for the past year or so, I've been helping Sister Nina, who has been the religious education director, to kind of like organize the RCIA program in our diocese. This is something quite new in our experience as a diocese. We are still trying to take off, so to speak, but gradually, little by little, we are moving along, I think, positively. And I think this is a great opportunity to our listeners, to our followers in our podcast program, to for them to have an awareness of what is RCIA. Well, we heard so much about RCIA. It's an acronym basically of the Rite Christian Initiation of Adults. And this program, if we can call it a program, because it's more than just a program, basically is or was a fruit of the Second Vatican Council, in which the Council Fathers during the Second Vatican Council, they understood the importance of restoring the catechumenate in the church today. The catechumenate goes all the way back at the beginning of the church. Actually, the early church. This was the way in which in the early church, people who wants to become Christian, they go through this period of catechumenate, in which gradually they are being initiated into Christianity. I think the key here is initiation.
Of course.
Initiation. Because for the most part, in our Catholic experience, we are so used to infant baptism, right? All of us have been baptized when we were infant, and rightly so, has been the practice of the church for centuries. And but we had the initiation, we can call it post-baptismal, because growing up, our family, our relatives, the community somehow help us to be initiated into the Christian faith gradually. But times have been changing, unfortunately, and this is why now there is a need,
right,
for those brothers and sisters who would like to become Catholics to be gradually initiated into Christianity.
Yeah. Thank you, Father Jason and Father Melvin. Both of you have been involved in this programs slash process, depending on how you want to look at it. And I think it's both. It's a program because we have a set beginning and a target date for the reception of the sacraments of initiation, baptism, confirmation, and Eucharist. But it's also a process because once you enter into the mystagogy, as we say, it really goes on into the day-to-day life of the newly baptized, confirmed, and fully received into the Catholic faith. While this is new for our diocese, it's not really new in other dioceses. As Father Jason mentioned, that for us here, we're predominantly Catholics. We're born and raised Catholics. And in places like dioceses in the United States, those adults who wanted to become Catholics. And so they go through this process. And I recall from experience when I did my first year theology at St. Patrick's Seminary in Menlo Park, California. My first year apostolate was in the whole RCIA program process in a parish. So we really went through how it was done and all the way towards the celebration of Easter Vigil. And there are a lot of wonderful things happening in this program. And it's not just the candidates themselves, the catechumens, or the sponsors, the godparents, but the wider community. So, in fact, I look at it also as a model for us, no, born and raised Catholics, because I think in these different stages, which probably one of you can help explain to our listeners on what are the stages, what are these different stages that they go through, and what's the aim or objective of its stage as part of our desire to initiate them. Father Jason mentioned a very um, accurate word, like initiation, because we don't really aim to like just give them everything at one setting. When we initiate someone into something, it's the start, it's the beginning, and so it's critical that when we initiate them, we give them the right tools, we inspire them, and also mindful that in the end, this is really the work of the Holy Spirit. We're merely instruments on how we can accompany them, facilitate in this whole process.
Yeah, and I think for the benefit of our listeners, it's good to for them to know to whom the RCA is for. This is the first obvious question. Well, the right says that first of all, it's primarily it's for those adults who are not baptized, right?
Right.
And technically, they are the ones officially called catechumens.
Correct.
But on the second level, this RCIA is also for those our brothers and sisters. They are Christians, but they were baptized in in other non-Catholic churches. And no, at a certain point, some of them would like to be part of the Catholic Church. So this process is also for them, to welcome them into the Catholic Church. And thirdly, the church also made provision for the RCIA to be available for those baptized Catholics, but they have not been catechized sufficiently, meaning to say, they have not completed their sacraments of initiation, Holy Communion, and confirmation in particular. And this is why even today in our current RCIA program, this third group of people, they comprise the largest number of our group at the moment. So these are the three. And then regarding the stages, Bishop was saying earlier a while ago that there are basically four stages in RCIA. Number one is what is called the stage of the announcement of the good news, the charismatic stage, in which those who are inquiring to become Catholics, first what the church does is to announce to them the good news, to make them to introduce them to the person of Jesus Christ, to the Scripture. This is the first stage, and then this comes the second stage, which is the pre-catechumenate, in which then they are gradually introduced to the fundamentals of the teachings of the church, and the pre-catechumenate ends with the what is called the rite of acceptance. I believe last September, Bishop Ryan presided the simple yet profound rite of acceptance for those who, at a certain point, they said, we would like to become Catholic. And publicly, they expressed this in front of Bishop Ryan, who represents the adult church. Then comes the stage called the catechumenate. This is the longer stage of the RCIA, in which then the initiation goes on. And one thing I would like to say about initiation is also on the part of us, the catechists, and the whole community, has to be the sense of accompaniment.
True.
Right.
With regards to initiation. So the accompaniment in which we introduce them to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the fundamentals of our Catholic faith. So the catechumen is a longer period, and which ends on the rite of election, which is the beginning of Lent. And again, Bishop Ryan presided at the rite of enlisting of their names for the reception of the sacrament on Easter. Then comes the third stage, which is the purification in enlightenment, which is now this Lenten season, which we is an intense preparation. It's more so spiritual preparation of the candidates, no, in preparation for the reception of the sacrament on Easter. And then the fourth stage will be the what Bishop said earlier, the mystagogic, no, which is we can call it continuous formation of the baptized because there's no such thing as graduation for RCIA. Yes, in a sense, the highlight of the whole RCIA experience is the Easter Vigil, definitely. But we don't end there. It's not the graduation, and then that's it. But the church also gives provision for the continuous formation, which is relevant not only for our brothers and sisters who are undergoing the RCIA, but also a reminder for all of us baptized Catholics that we need continuous formation.
Yes.
So this is pretty much the, in a nutshell, the stages of the RCIA.
Yes, and you raise a very good point there, Father Jason, about the word accompaniment, because as this candidates catechumens go into the different stages, actually each one is kind of in his or her faith, let's say stage of faith where that person is. They're all in different stages, so it really, I know the ideal is not everybody should like be on the same stage, because just like all of us, right, in our spirituality and then even with our youth and young adults, there are different stages of faith. And so it's important, like the RCIA team, would really walk hand in hand, and they are able to discern with the candidates and catechumens whether, okay, you move on to the next phase, or perhaps you can stay longer in this inquiry period. And from experience, this is a 2-year program in other dioceses, because the one whole year is simply about,
or longer,
even longer. And then, but I think what we're trying to do in our diocese in Salancanoa is perhaps, try to do it within 1 year, because we're trying also to respond to where people are at, because we come from, I guess, a practice that says, I want to get it right away, right?
Yeah.
There's this expectation from our parishioners that, how come I want to become Catholic? Why are you prolonging my desire, right? So in a way, we want to capture that desire and kind of meet halfway. But really, if what we would like to prepare is, uh, uh, again, when we initiate this candidates, we want them to have that longing and that love, that passion for their faith. We can't just do things like, half cooked and say just to fulfill the requirement. And apparently, there are still cases that, some would like to go through this process because, it's required before getting married in church,
Right.
right? And these are the practical considerations. But I'm just glad that this is probably the second year, and then before every parish has its own program. But I really wanted it to be kind of one program for the entire diocese, so that we also can do it the proper way, right? Because it needs more than just the pastor who can lead with this one, and what you're doing now, with the team. And so in this team, we have in the diocese, we have Father Jason and Father Melvin. Sister Nina was with us also, and we had Esther Fleming, we had Sam Santos, and
Deacon Tony as well.
Deacon Tony and his
Linda.
wife Linda Yerobuemal. And we have also a catechist from Santa
Lisa.
Remedios,
Yes.
Lisa. So it really, you're really a team, and it's a lot of discerning that needs to be done, and so it's a lot of accompanying that needed to be done. And my hope is that this is something that for us in our community, in our diocese, this will grow. And you definitely, you've been, in addition to your responsibilities in your parishes, I'm really grateful to both of you and to the team for saying yes and helping us with this adults. How many do we have this year?
I don't have the exact number, but I guess we're looking at around 60 plus.
Yes.
That includes the 7 who are preparing for baptism. So we have
Right.
a large number, 50, some
Yes.
50 plus
Yeah.
brothers and sisters who are preparing to receive Holy Communion and or confirmation.
Yeah. And that's very good at the beginning when Father Jason made the distinction of these three groups.
Right.
I think the easiest is the first two, right?
Yeah, right.
Unbaptized and wanted to be baptized Catholic. And so with that, if you are 7 years old and above and not baptized yet, so then, the sacrament of baptism, confirmation, and first Holy Communion. And there's even a version, what we call RCIC,
Yeah.
and a rite of initiation for Christian adults for RCIA, and then the RCIC would be for children.
Right.
And then, as Father Jason explained, the second group are those baptized in another faith tradition, but wanting to convert to Catholicism. And the third, which is really the majority, are Catholics who receive the sacrament of baptism early on but uncatechized. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for them to learn about the faith. And really, at the end of this program, kind of get that reward. You'll be confirmed. Then you can get married in church. What's your take on that? I know that, as priests, we sometimes it's difficult because, we have rules, we have policies, but we also want to capture that opportunity so that once they're done with this, it really stays with them, and it's for their own good. Everything we do is for the salvation of one's soul. So
I think what we want to do is transition and to help gradually our parishioners to transition from the mentality of looking at the sacraments like Holy Communion or confirmation simply as requirements, and to help them transition to look at these sacraments really as a necessity in their lives.
yes,
Holy Communion, confirmation is not just a requirement for getting married or to be sponsors one day, but it's a lifestyle. And we are at the beginning of this experience, and yes, we have to be patient gradually, because we are at the same time we wanna give them the full experience and the benefit of what does it mean really to be a disciples of Christ, and not just to just have a certificate. I have been confirmed, I have been received Holy Communion.
Yeah, and also like the entire catechesis. This theologian who said we want them to have a faith that is seeking understanding. More than just fulfilling the requirements. We want our people, our they're mostly young adults, to really have that sense of ownership and even at some point to question their faith, because sometimes questioning one's faith is not sometimes it is part of the process. I'd rather have that rather than just kind of blindly accepting because sinang or sitang told you to do this. And I think that the effects would be lasting for someone who really wholeheartedly has the desire to know and to learn more and put into practice what's being instilled and what they get out of this process. Father Melvin,
Yeah,
you talk more.
I've been very quiet.
Father Melvin
thought-
has experience.
I thought we said I would just speak minimally and then.
No, I'm captivated by the wisdom of the. Anyhow, I really appreciate the program that we have right now and the process that the RCIA, the catechumens that we have, are going through. Most of them are actually very engaging, very participative in the process. I remember in one or two of my classes that when I ask questions, they are there, answering. Some of them are really giving deep answers, and answers that really make a lot a lot of sense. So these are not your ordinary crowd. They are really seeking answers, and they have answers of their own, which is a good sign. Meaning, we have thinking people. We have candidates that are discerning. Really the faith, and that is one of the goals of the RCIA, I guess, is to really make the person fall in love with the Catholic faith, fall in love with the teachings of the Catholic faith, in the Catholic Church. The RCIA team, going back to the accompaniment concept, or the practice of accompaniment, it is not just the RCIA team is not only the teachers, the catechists. Actually, the role of the sponsors. The sponsors
Right.
are also part of the RCIA team. That is why they are always present during the classes, during sessions, because they are guiding. They are the ones also guiding the person. If they have questions, they are the ones they can easily go up to and ask. In some of the programs that I've seen, there are churches wherein the RCIA team actively engages the godparents. They were also there, sitting present, and they are also teaching.
I want to add to that. That's a very good point on the role of the sponsors.
Right.
In fact, at the rite of election, I did mention this in my homily, that in many dioceses now, the practice is it's no longer the candidate selecting the sponsor. Because if this entire process belongs to the faith community, and so therefore the team should have an input as to who would be the sponsor that can truly accompany the candidate.
Right.
I think culturally we're still family-based oriented sponsorship kind of thing. Now, I would get, see Nino Melvin because, he is my uncle.
Yes.
Or I would get, this Nina because my mom is so close to her, or my cousin. And there's always that family relationship, which is good, right? The problem happens when the choice of the candidate doesn't really practice his or her Catholic faith. So if we are here initiating someone into the Catholic faith, how can that sponsor truly accompany? And here you are, the team, the members of the group wanting to do the best. And in terms of the day-to-day follow-up, that continuing accompaniment, something is missing. And so I'm wondering if it's probably quite revolutionary. Probably get complaints if we say, beginning next year, we will select your sponsor. Right?
The ones that are really qualified to.
Yes.
Yeah. And that happens also when, for example, the desire of this candidate to select person X to be the sponsor, and for whatever reason, that person cannot be a sponsor because, again, of requirements, like one has to be married, all of that.
What we have right now is we just present the minimum requirement. The person has to be Catholic, of course, and has to be how old the person is.
Completed the Sacraments of Initiation.
Yeah, completed the Sacraments of it, but that's it.
But what's your take on that? What if we go outside of the box wherein we resort right away to family members, kumpayri system? But truly, if this is an initiation into the faith community, we want to have sponsors that in our discernment are really good role models, right? And I think it's wonderful because in the end, our goal is to have one Christian community who are able to do this together. It's not family-based. It's not blood relationship. While that is important, but we need to get outside of that box. I'm really excited to experiment and to start this, rather than following, what has been the practice? What do you think, Father Jason? Do you think people
Well,
would hate me for that?
any radical changes in the church, creates a reaction. But I think on our part, on our part, we have to be also conscious of educating our people. In other
Right.
words,
Mhm.
regarding sponsor, for example, in baptism confirmation, this tradition goes all the way back in the early church. As a matter of fact, the technical term today we call them sponsors,
Mhm.
Nina, but the original term was guarantors of faith.
Mhm.
Right.
The sponsor, they are the guarantors of faith. Whenever I would do baptism instruction, I would tell the parents, and you know what? Do you know what it's mean to be guarantors of faith? And I use a mundane example like taking a loan from a bank, right? If I apply for a loan, most probably, Bishop, I won't get approved.
You
There's
will.
some
You have good credit history.
not good, and but if even if let's say if I don't get the loan, maybe if I have friends who can be the co-signee, right, to my loan, then I may get approved. And we know that the co-signee, they are the guarantors of the loan.
Yep.
Yes.
Because if you can pay then as a
Exactly.
co-signee,
If I
I'm responsible.
if I don't pay, then my guarantors of the loan will.
Yeah.
So in faith, the same thing. No, the sponsors, they are the guarantors of faith. So therefore, it's more than just a family social thing.
Yes.
I know him, I know her. No, it. And for this, if we educate our people about the importance of what does it mean to be a Nino, then I think it will create as far as the changes that we can make, they will gradually understand it.
I like the word guarantors of our faith because again, the sense of accountability is also there.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know it's we've been given a warning already, but it's a wonderful conversation, and we encourage our community, especially adults, as the category C that Father Jason explained, Catholics who have been baptized, but kind of for a long period of time, somehow even you've like left the Catholic Church and wanted to come back and receive the sacraments of confirmation and First Holy Communion or the Eucharist, then please come to us. And we usually do also by school year calendar.
Right.
So we're towards the end now, and then by next year we will begin again by fall. So I
We
think
normally begin,
summertime.
September. So by summertime, registration will begin, and then we try to begin September, and then finish around this time of the year.
Yes.
Take advantage of the program and the process. So we really cannot emphasize it more. The importance of the process of the RCIA program. Those who are considering joining the faith, the Catholic faith, from other Christian denominations, you are also welcome. And if you are considering the Catholic faith, why not? We are not closing our doors. We're actually opening it wider for everybody to come in and to understand and to experience the beauty of the church. And to those who are adult, non-baptized, this is an opportunity for you to also take advantage of the RCIA program. I know it's like a shortened version of the CCD program that we have in our parishes. But this is a program nonetheless that is designed for the adults, meaning the level of competency is also there, and we consider the level of like the competency of our candidates. That's why it's a bit shorter. We know that the candidates can hopefully easily understand the instructions, the teachings of the church.
Also the maturity.
Yeah, the maturity level. That's why it's okay to make it a little bit shorter than the regular CCD program. The children, they could barely memorize the Our Father, but the adults, they can easily memorize it and understand deep theological and other spiritual meanings of that we have that we are teaching them. So take advantage of the program, take advantage of the process. we are creating soldiers here
That's correct.
in the church, not weak soldiers. We are creating courageous soldiers for the future of the church, so that more and more every day we can create better Catholics.